Field Training Mission Briefing number 1 begins now, operatives. I'm Dork, 007 Dork, and unlike my data, I prefer my Mountain Dew shaken, not stirred. In this class, you'll be creating your first Qlik Answers knowledge base, which will track the dossiers of each of our Q Division agents. Then we're going to create your first Qlik Answers assistant and include that knowledge base. This isn't just for fun, agents. We've had reports that the dreaded dashboard disruption monkey gang is on the loose again, and we need to find an agent who's had experience with them. Now, let's get into Q Division headquarters and get started. We've got a busy day. All right, operators, let's go ahead and begin. You'll notice here that I've created a space specifically called Q Division Field Academy. I'm going to be using that for the rest of my time. If you want to create a space in your environment with that same name, then you'll obviously be able to track with me for all the rest of these courses. You can see that I'm in the answer section of my hub. So all I'm seeing is information about my assistants, my knowledge bases, my data connections, and I could upload files. Well, I'm going to go ahead and begin here. And the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to be walking through creating a knowledge base. And I'm going to call this my agents information knowledge base. And if I could type correctly, normally I'd give that a description. I'm just going to go ahead and move on for your sake. First thing I could do, hey, do I have a data connection? We will cover that in another training module. I can choose to use these from the catalog. We will do that in another training module. We're going to start with where you're uploading files because we're just getting started. On this community post, you had the option to get a zip file, and what you'll need to do is unpack each of those dossiers, and we're simply going to go ahead and drag or drop those right in. You'll notice that it adds each and every one of those. There should be 7 of them, and I'm going to go ahead and say I want to upload those things. Yay, it's beautiful. It's ready to start asking questions of. Nope. You'll notice here under index status, it says it has never been indexed. We can't talk to it until that information gets parsed out and pulled into our RAG training. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to index all. I can go ahead and go to this flat view that will list all of the files that are in my knowledge base, and we'll be able to see how these things are coming along. And you'll notice there's only a handful of pages in each, and it's already got those things indexed. So I'm going to go ahead and do a refresh on my screen, and I don't have that part showing. It's still trying now. Once it's got the pages indexed, it's going to try to finish this knowledge base off. Now we have this thing returned here, and it's, hey, the index status has been completed. The last index was 6 seconds ago. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to jump right into creating an assistant now from this, so I can show you how you would normally interact with this type of information. Just pure unstructured information out of your PDFs. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is my field training assistant. And again, normally you would give it a description. I'm going to say OK. And that information is there. You notice that it's showing me in my assistant, I've got access to this agent's information. If I wanted to, and we'll cover this in another class, you would go through conversation starters where you try to help suggest to people what they would use that for. Since it's you and I know that you understand what we're doing, we'll go through that in another course. I'm going to go ahead and start asking some questions of this. Again, I've got all the dossiers about all my assistants, and I can say which agent has interacted with the dreaded dashboard, if I spell it correctly, dashboard disruption monkeys. I want to go ahead and show you the reasoning here, and you'll notice that the answers agent is called first. It is always going to be the first agent on the job. It's trying to collect all the data sources and figure out what it wants to do. Notice that it immediately handed that information off once it knew what it was looking for to the knowledge base agent. The knowledge base agent is able to go through, find the information, and talk about this, and it tells us the assembler agent interacted with the dreaded dashboard disruption monkeys during Operation Layout Logic. And as always, you'll see that we've got the explanations that we can click on. So if I want to jump right to that, I can click on that and it'll jump right to the document where it was at, and it's showing me, hey, this is the words that were in there. And if I want to jump to that dossier specifically, it'll show me exactly where in that dossier it was. And sure enough, fortunately, our assembler agent was able to outsmart those dashboard disruption monkeys. So pretty awesome stuff. If you wanted to ever see all of the reasoning, you can come back and see exactly what the flow is of all of it. So it was the answer agent first, handed off to the knowledge base agent. It formulated a plan. The knowledge base responded with some information and gave that back to the answer agent, and the answer agent then reported that back to us. Hey, that's fantastic.